in German and in English, and I'm sure it's available in Russian also. The author is Anita Morjani. She's an Indian living in England, I think, or America, but living abroad. And she had cancer in 4th stage. Oh, she was in Hong Kong. She's living in Hong Kong. She had cancer in 4th stage. And it was healed within 1 day. What happened is, she died. And came back. Huh? Huh? लेकिन हम किस गाड़ी से नीचे रखेंगे?
एक गाड़ी रखनी है, बोलेरो रख देता हूँ
है बोलेरो बेहतर है क्योंकि वे लोग हमेशा खेल रहे बच्चे हैं मतलब
बच्चे हैं और इनको समझा भी देना बाद में क्योंकि छेड़खानी करेंगे शायद गाड़ी में दोनों बच्चे हैं
क्या
गाड़ी में रहेंगे ना कुछ छेड़खानी भी कर सकते हैं
क्या कर सकते हैं
छेड़खानी ना गाड़ी में इनको बता देना ना मतलब गाड़ी में छेड़खानी मत करना करके छोटे बच्चे हैं
да и в тот же день воскрес
say it again, just repeat it. So she had 4 study, and then she got cured, but she died. You said, yeah?
She died but came back. She died only for an hour.
But she was cured before she died.
No.
After.
During
the death.
You see, when you die, when you it's very simple.
Она умерла и в течение этого смерти, в течение этого часа. Она полностью выздоровела и вернула в жизнь.
You see, dying has several phases. You can die and the body, because the body is in the hospital on the ventilator, so the body is not dead. It's on the ventilator, the oxygen is, the blood is running and all that, but she left the body. Her Atma, her soul, left the body, and she saw the body, she saw the operation, hospital room, ICU unit room, and all her husband and the doctors and everything. She heard what they were saying and what they are doing, and and said, should we switch off machines? And the husband said, no, leave it, like this, some chance. And they let the machine on, and she came back, and when she came back, the cancer was gone. So what does it mean? Basically, if you leave the body, you completely transcend. That's what complete transcendence means. If you are absolutely gone out of your body and you come back into your body, you have completely transcended. It's like, when we had this old first electronic devices, there was the reset button. If everything it got blocked, you put the reset button, you lost all your data, but the machine was saved. So it put it back to normal, and all the problems which were there were gone. So it's like if you transcend, you are completely going back to Mother Nature's original setting, and you come back and the thing was gone. And the doctors didn't understand. They were completely puzzled. Said, where is the cancer? She's still alive, she wrote the book and everything is fine. So she had just transcended. And this is basically spontaneous remission, just means that we are completely going back to nature's original setting, to the laws of all nature, which is Atma. You just completely transcend, and then it's getting reset. So this is the level of Ayurveda. This is where Ayurveda actually works. Ayurveda works on the level of intelligence, not so much on the level of the body. So if you have understood this, then you have understood what Maharishi meant with Maharishi Ayurveda. Maharishi we put in front of only because Maharishi has taken the superficial understanding of Ayurveda back to its original glory of a Vedic knowledge, which is Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya means it is derived straight from consciousness. It's not a knowledge which is gained by exercising, by experimenting, no. It's Brahma Vidya. It's gained from its source. It's not a knowledge gained by experience. It's cognized, it's seen, it's it's of divine origin, you can say it's of nature origin. So that's what Veda is, and Ayurveda also. That's why Ayurveda is completely different. You cannot compare Ayurveda to naturopathy, to homeopathy, to allopathy. It's not a pathy. It is complete knowledge of nature. And it's that aspect of nature which puts us back in balance. So, the main goals of Ayurveda are to maintain, and only if something goes wrong to cure. But main thing is to maintain. Small section is to cure. Now, but before we understand this, we also have to see how nature actually works. How has nature come about, or how has the knowledge of Ayurveda come about? Because we hear these words of Rajas, Tamas, we hear the words of Vat, Pit, Kapha. So how are these qualities coming about? They must be come from somewhere, and we have to see that Ved is not something which anybody has written. Ved is not somebody has had a good idea one nice morning and wrote a book. No. Ved was always, even if there is no universe, the Ved is there. Consciousness is always there, and if consciousness is consciousness by its very nature of being consciousness, then Ved is also there. Because consciousness is aware of itself, and the moment it's aware of itself, we have this coming out of the observer, the observed, and the observation. So this is Rishi Devata Chandas. So this is always there, even if there's no creation. Creation comes after. Now, if you see the Ved, it's just a question of having the nervous system so pure and the environment so pure. Environment, I not only mean in terms of pollution and all that, also on a subtle level, that the laws of nature are more lively. The environment is different when you are downtown in New York than when you are up in the Himalaya. Even if you are in a pure room in New York, if you find one. But it's not only on that level of gross pollution, it's also on the very subtle pollution, what the people are thinking, what the people are feeling. All this level of purity has to be perfect, plus the nervous system has to be completely pure. Then one can tune in with nature so much that one sees the Ved exactly the same way as any Rishi has seen the Ved. The Rishis, and actually it's not seen, it's heard, it's Shruti. Seen are other texts like Puran, Itihas, they are seen. And something is remembered, it pops up. But the Ved is Shruti, it's heard. So there are different ways of getting to that knowledge, but I just want to make it clear that the Vedic knowledge is not something which is composed by anybody. And the Western approach to Indology, like this Indologists, I don't know how you say in Russia, in Europe they say Indologists, people who study the science of India and the Indian sciences. They call Indologists, the Western approach to it. They have the approach of looking at, okay, from the structure of the Sanskrit, this text must have been written 7,500 years ago, and this section, because of the Sanskrit is like this, must have been put in 5,000 years ago, and that author must have been lived on this and that. This may be true. I'm not saying they are wrong, but it's the viewpoint which is wrong, because the same knowledge, the same text, whatever has somebody written 7,000 years ago, was also written 2 million years ago. by some other rishi, maybe he had even the same name, but it is the same cognition. It's the question of the cognition. And the cognition can be done today, it can be done 1,000 years ago, it can be done 5,000 years ago, it can be done 2 million years ago. If the nervous system is tuned in, then the knowledge comes to you exactly in that form. And that is called, in the Ved in itself says, Yo Jagara Tamrichakamyante, whoever is awake, he will be approached by the knowledge comes to him. And Maharshi gave a beautiful lecture in Hindi where he speaks exactly on Ayurveda in the same way. Ayurveda is also Brahma Vidya, which is seen, which is cognized, comes. It's not something which has been written. Now, the tradition, there are different traditions in the Ayurveda also. Shushruta has a slightly different history than Charak, but they're all coming from divine origin, that handed down, which means it has been cognized, seen. So, now, where is the proof now of what we are saying here? Let's come practical again to this level. How you go? Where is the here this thing? No.
Okay, sorry.
Next slide. How you do?
Next slide.
Oh, I pressed there. It didn't happen.
Саша, пробел нажми, будет что-нибудь.
1 second. It's следующее or not?
Huh?
Next one?
Yeah. Okay, that's second slide. See, in this connection, what we were saying, for example, if the discussion was going on among the rishis, what is the most dangerous disease? Now, if you ask this question today, most people would say, well, probably cancer, or AIDS, or cardiovascular. I would say it's medicine itself. Medicine itself is the biggest killer. But no, but it's even not all of this. It is the absence or the non-cognition of that reality which I just explained. Which means that we are not aware of the unity of all the diversity within. Because knowledge is gained in its purest form if the subject is united with the object. If I become Sasha, then I know everything about Sasha. If I become the computer, I know everything about the computer. So if that unity is retained, if the unity between subject and object and the process of gaining knowledge is maintained, then we have the knowledge of pragya. Pragya means by cognition, by internal coming everything to you. And this absence, which is called pragya aparad, that is the greatest disease. That is the most dangerous disease. That's the source of all diseases. That's what Ayurveda says when the question was raised, which is the most dangerous disease? It's this absence of that knowledge of pragya, not being connected with the universality of everything. So, now, there are some interesting cases in medical history, not only this Anita Mojani, which she has written that book, Dying to Be Me, or something like that is the title, which she has cancelled, everything was reset. There are also other examples in modern science which show that the concept of the body as a statue is not working at all. There is an unfortunate soul, his name was Timmy. He was a small boy, he must be probably big now, I don't know, but at that time when I got that story, it was actually, the story was told by Chopra, Dr. Chopra. And that boy had a multiple personality disorder. That means in his body, there were many different souls, so to say, taking turns of possession. With their different diseases and different problems and different color of the eye. Now just imagine, that boy suddenly changed the color of his eye. which is impossible. Or he had scarves. One person who took possession of the body had a certain scarf. Now scarves are not something, I have one here from some Ayurvedic work I did. It's there for your life, it's not going away. But in this boy's case, once the person who had the scarf left the body and got replaced by another one, the scarf left with him and the scarf was gone. So this was something which was completely beyond understanding of the doctors who treated him, because it's not explained, it is beyond any sort of concept. Even if you take more modern sort of concepts like genetics, there was this idea of genetics that everything is determined in your genes. Now with the onset of epigenetics we know that's also not correct. It's also changing, so that is also a concept which doesn't work. So it is eventually consciousness, which is on the basis, and not genes, and not your inheritance, that we say we have inherited from the father, from mother, we have inherited this and that. This is all there to some extent, but it's not the ultimate. The ultimate is consciousness. So, and that is, there's one book, it's by Hari Sharma, Awakening Nature's Intelligence. I have several copies in the library. If you want to know about Ayurveda, read first that book, because it explains all what I have said now with many examples and many sort of medical sort of views also, that it is the intelligence of nature which we are dealing with when we are dealing with Ayurveda. That also, see, if we for example go into what is called Chikitsa, in English you could translate with pharmacopoeia. This, if you study medicine, you will have a few years where you learn all which medicine for what, and so that's called pharmacopoeia. Now in Ayurveda, one aspect of pharmacopoeia, of course, are herbs. Fine, it's one section. But there is another section which is like from animal products or mantras, just sound. That you just heal a person with sound. That you just give him a mantra, you don't even give it to him. You think it and then you blow it at him. Like that. When I have seen this for the first time, or heard about it, I was kind of thinking, what sort of quackery is that? And what is it? You kind of, to think in terms of Ayurveda as herbs, okay. In terms of anything you take, okay. But in terms of just sound, just mantra, that is, you need to understand all what we just elaborated now. That just with mantra, people get miraculously healed. No, either you take the mantra, you speak it into the bottle of water, and you tell the person, drink this bottle, drink this water. No, like that, and the people get healed. So, just to give you the idea of, so what is the next one here? Yes. No, we have spoken about that. Yeah, we have spoken about that. Now, from this point of view, we also can understand the reversal of aging. Now, this is now the Ayurvedic parampara, how Ayurveda has come. Lord Brahma has given it to Dakshina Prajapati, to Ashwini Kumar, to Indra, to Rishi Bharadwaj, to Punarvasu Atreyi, and then Agnivesh. And Agnivesh has written Charak Samhita. Charak is the one big text. Then we have Bel Samhita. All these books we have here. We have Jaitukana, which I don't have. Haryata we have. Kashyap Samhita we have. Parashara is also one there. This is the parampara of Charaka. There is another one of Shushruta. Shushruta is directly from the Ashwinis also.
Charaka Samhita was in this room, in my head.
What?
Charaka Samhita book, here.
It was in his room when you came to the room.
Yes.
Oh, it was inside the room?
Was in this room.
Okay, okay.
When I start live here, this is
Oh, okay, okay.
presented here, Charaka Samhita.
Wow. That means they didn't clean the room properly. Oh, it's even my version. Okay, okay. It must be.
It's maybe for my reading.
Yes,
Because I becomes.
Yeah, Bhagavan Das.
Yes.
Okay. So now that this is, I mean, the whole Charak Samhita is a discussion between Agnivesh and the rishis. So to discuss now. Whatever is in the Charak, whatever is in Shushruta, whatever is in Bhagavad, whatever is in Bail, whatever is in Kashyap, whatever is in all these different books, these different texts, they are there since thousands and thousands of years. And they are the same rules, the same sort of guidelines today as they were thousands of years. Now, if you go into medical science, modern Western medical science, but you have learned 10 years ago, you can forget. You have to all change and renew, because everything that you learned 10 years ago has changed. Because they have made new discovery that, oh no, this medicine is not working, or it has too many side effects, so you have to take this, no, cholesterol is not so bad, or this is not so good, or this, no, this actually is good, or no, you should not eat butter, or no, you should eat butter, no, you cannot eat, no, you should. You get crazy. So, if you go into all these different things, you should only eat raw food, or you should only eat cooked food, you should only eat this or that. It's crazy. I mean, you have all sorts of different things. I remember when in Europe 50 years ago, there were people saying you should only eat potatoes. They go, that's the Wehrland. You should only eat potatoes. Or one guy was only eating white bread soaked in milk, and all sorts of things. And they may work for some people under some circumstances, but it's definitely not complete knowledge. And that's why Maharishi was always laughing, because people who come to meditation were always people also who were very health conscious and had some idea of some system, of some theory. And Maharishi was always laughing and said, eat normal, eat warm food, eat cooked food, and don't listen to all of these things. Until 1978, where Maharishi started to dig into Ayurveda. Then we started to go into very holistic approaches. What is good? What habits we should forget and what habits we should adopt? As I said, the main thing in Ayurveda is prevention. Cure comes later.